I always have, and I always will. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Terry Christensen.
I'm overwhelmed to be here tonight to celebrate the achievements of two of my oldest and best friends, two people I really love. But I won't bawl. And I won't ask you to stand, and I'm the third from last speaker. They really are two of my oldest and dearest friends, and I'm not sure how I got chosen to speak for Wigsy, but I think it's that I've known Ken a little too long and know a little too much about him before Baymax. So this is the safe version that I'll do on Wigsy. I first met Wigsy in the early 1970s, so we've known each other for a while. I was at a meeting with student government leaders at San Jose State, and in walked this, shall we say, distinctive-looking person with a racing bike on her shoulder. Well, it was a memorable entrance, and she proved to be a memorable person, and a memorable leader, and a memorable friend. Wigsy was one of the first people at San Jose State to be out. That was a condition she made clear when she was hired in 1968, a long time even before Baymax, after she'd been fired from another job because of her sexual orientation. She's been out and outspoken ever since. In fact, we can't shut her up. And she's made it easier for all of us to be out and proud at San Jose State and beyond. And now the backstory. Most people see Wigsy as a political leader, but she actually came to politics reluctantly. Her early involvement was in campaigns against ballot measures, John Laird talked about some of them, that targeted the gay community viciously and specifically. Lots of us get a little grovelly around persons in high authority like university presidents or mayors or congresswomen or state legislators or even city council members. But not Wigsy. She fearlessly says what she thinks, and she gets away with it and actually advances the cause. And I think that's partly because she also brings her skills as a counselor to these conversations. She is a counselor. She considers the powerful leaders she's talking to as human beings, real people, not just office holders. She never reduces them to a role. And she's not being hypocritical. She really does care about them as human beings, and they sense this. In fact, they keep coming back for more, which makes her that much more effective. She also knows when leaders understand our community and get our issues right in their gut. And frankly, there are very few of those. So maybe it's more important that Wigsy keeps coming back and knows how to work patiently with people who aren't quite with us, and maybe our great friend Mike Fox is an example of that, eventually bringing them around to us. And I think there are actually quite a few of those folks here tonight. Thank you all, too. So Wigsy, Ken, I love you both. Thank you for being my friend, our advocate, our advocates. And now we'd like to invite you both to the stage to receive your Lifetime Achievement Awards, although you can go right on achieving after tonight. And also to give you both one more chance to speak truth to power. Join us on the stage.
remarks, Wigsy will speak, which is the way it should be. But this is really better than a eulogy for many reasons. But you're a wonderful crowd, and I thank you all for being here. I remember Baymex first dinner. Wigsy and I were so worried that no one would show up. We held it at Mitty High School and served spaghetti that was cooked in the cafeteria, and we charged $10 for admittance. Well, I guess some things do get better with age. At $125 a ticket, they just cost a little bit more. But thank you, Gene and Rick, for your kind remarks. Your friendship means a great deal to me. The person you described sounded vaguely familiar. You left out all the hard edges of my personality, though. But I have any number of friends who are more than happy to remind me of what those hard edges are. Council members are only as good as their staff, and I have wonderful people working for me. I'm grateful for all the work that John Mills, Megan Doyle, and Tony Felice do, and I appreciate them being here. Over the past several years, I have been reading over some of Baymex's old brochures and came across one that was printed 10 years ago that featured a quote from our mayor, Ron Gonzalez, who was a county supervisor at the time. The quote said, "Because of Baymex efforts, local elected officials understand that they must not wait for federal action to deal with gay and lesbian discrimination." Boy, ain't that the truth. And Ron, with your leadership, San Jose didn't wait for federal action on gay marriages. We stepped forward, we took a stand, and we are part of the public record that said we support what San Francisco did. I want to recognize my colleagues on the City Council. I appreciate all the support they have given me and to our community. They've been introduced already, but I want to specifically recognize them for their vote in support of gay marriages. Here tonight, along with Mayor Gonzalez, are council members Nora Campos, Cindy Chavez, Dave Cortese, and Linda Lazat. I was never more proud of my city as the day the council voted to recognize as valid the same-sex marriages of our city employees. Many of you were in the council chambers that long afternoon to show your support. And for those of you who spoke, that took real courage. And your words were so powerful because they were truthful and from the heart. And I know we will one day win the struggle for gay and lesbian civil rights because our enemies tell lies about us and perpetuate misconceptions and stereotypes while we simply tell the truth about who we are and what our community stands for. Each time we do, we bring understanding to a family member, to a friend, to a coworker, even in Vice President Cheney's house. And that ain't easy. But we will eventually win our struggle. 20 years ago, I came to a turning point in my life. Although out to my gay friends, I was not out at work or with my straight friends, except for Gene. The California State Legislature had passed a bill that would make it illegal to discriminate against gays and lesbians in housing and employment. One local assembly member said that the governor should veto the bill because, in his opinion, lesbians and gays did not deserve the same rights as others. We did not deserve the same rights as others. When I read that in 1984, I knew if I wanted my rights, I would have to fight for them. So I wrote an editorial in the Mercury News, challenged the assemblyman, speaking the truth about who I was, defending my right to be a part of my community. And along with you, I have been fighting for my rights for the past 20 years. But 20 years later, many politicians, including the President of the United States, continue to say that gays and lesbians should not have the same rights as everyone else. But you know which elected officials aren't saying that? It's the local, state, and federal representatives from the 3 counties that Baymex operates in, Santa Clara, San Mateo, and Santa Cruz. They proudly stand with us, voting in support of gay and lesbian rights. This local support didn't come about by accident or good luck, nor was it a small feat. We had to earn it. I vividly remember 20 years ago when BAMEC underwent its first endorsement process. We supported a grand total of 10 candidates. That's it, 10. Most candidates wouldn't return our questionnaire or our phone calls. Of the 10, most ran against anti-gay incumbents and lost. It was tough going. It took the efforts of a great number of people and organizations who fought alongside BAMEC to begin to elect people at the local level who supported human and civil rights. And now, this ballroom is full of elected officials. As significant, we have 3 openly gay officials in our area: Assemblyman John Laird from Santa Cruz, Supervisor Rich Gordon from San Mateo County, and me, all of whom were original BAMEC board members. This coming November, I'm pleased that there are a record 7 gay and lesbian candidates running for office in Santa Clara County. Present tonight, and I'll have you stand when I read your name, Jamie McLeod, running for Santa Clara City Council, Evan Lowe, running for Campbell City Council, Stephen Kale, running for Los Gatos Saratoga High School Board, John Linder, running for Franklin McKinley School Board, and Mark Petroso, running for State Assembly. Thank you for your courage. I have been an eyewitness to the incredible changes that have occurred in the Bay Area since BAMEC was formed. BAMEC was formed 20 years ago in a climate of intolerance, when the county of Santa Clara and the city of San Jose had passed ordinances to make it illegal to discriminate against gays and lesbians. Religious fundamentalists had attained the necessary signatures to put the measures on the ballot, and we lost. 8 years ago, the county passed a domestic partner registration ordinance, and religious fundamentalists collected enough signatures to put it on the ballot, thus killing the measure. Today, when the San Jose City Council passed its resignation of gay marriages, religious fundamentalists threaten a recall of our mayor and several council members. But this time, for the first time in all the years that Wigsy and I have been fighting for human rights, there was no strong public support for the fundamentalists to overturn the council's action. So the recall never happened. We didn't lose ground, we won ground. I have one main message to deliver to you. It is the same message that Wigsy and I have been saying for 20 years, although she says it much better and more powerfully than I ever could. And that message is that we in the GLBT community need you now more than ever, perhaps even more than 20 years ago. The stakes are much higher. Our enemies have created a nationwide movement. What they can't achieve at the state level, they try at the federal level. What they can't achieve at the federal level, then they turn to the states. They block anti-gay discrimination laws wherever they can. They block effective AIDS, HIV messages from being aired in the media. They oppose gay marriages at all levels. They deny gays and lesbians the right to be parents in many states. They want to ensure that the blatant discrimination against gays in the military continues, and the list goes on and on. You may think these actions don't affect you here in the Bay Area, or somehow you are immune, but they do affect you, and no one is immune. But we are in America. This is not a totalitarian country where freedom is denied based on religious interpretation by fundamentalist extremists. This is free ground. Here we judge people by what they contribute to society, not by the circumstances of their birth, their gender, ethnicity, age, physical abilities, or sexual orientation. Here we have value. And what we're fighting for is our value as individuals and the value of everyone in this room and in our community. It is a worthy fight, but it is a fight that will take your lifetime and more. There is a lesson to be taken away from BAMEC's 20-year history, and it is this. If you are willing to stay in your community and build a life of meaning, if you are willing to draw a line in the sand when your rights are threatened and say, in this point we will not budge, if you are willing to spend part of your time and money each year in support of human rights, if you are willing to attend meetings when votes are being taken that directly affect you and your friends, then all the hundreds, if not thousands, of small steps that are necessary year in, year out, to bring about change will result in creating the type of community we all, and I mean all, gay, straight, men, women, young, old, white, people of color, can be proud to call their hometown. And if you are lucky enough like me to find a collaborator like Wigsy Sievertson, then you too can one day look back and see how far we as a community have come and feel pride that we have had a small part in bringing about that change, yet all the time knowing how far we still have to go. Wigsy and I will always be in the fight with you, but new leadership must emerge. Please take the call to become involved. Your community needs you. Thank you, Wigsy. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, BAMEC, for 20 gratifying years.
To my niece Lee and to my friend Terry, I want to thank you for your comments. Lee, ever the lawyer, what a great speech. I have lots of fights with people. They keep talking about lawyers being bad people, but I have Lee and other friends who are lawyers, and I keep telling them that it's not true.
And they believe you.
I know. And to my family, I have people here, my adopted family, people that took me in and parented me when I was a young person, because I really had no family to parent me. And I look at Jean and Marge as my sisters and have a tribute to them and have a moment of silence for the loss of who became my adopted mom, who died 3 weeks ago. And to my friend Anne, who has been a part of my life for a long time, and other people who have been personally close to me, like Debbie. I also want to take a moment to express my appreciation to my partner, Jeannie. She hates this kind of thing. She doesn't like the limelight. She doesn't like these kinds of events very much. But it takes a huge toll on a relationship to do the kinds of things that we are doing in this room tonight. And I have recently acquired a niece in my niece Melody, who is Jeannie's niece, who has come to live with us. It's odd to become a parent at my age for a 16-year-old. But she has helped me grow in a special kind of way, and I am grateful to her. I also want to say something really personal about following on the heels of what Terry said. I think that there is hardly anything more honorable and decent than for people to run and to hold political office. We all too often trash people who hold political office. We diminish politics. We make negative comments about people who are willing to spend huge amounts of their time and their lives and expose themselves in ways that are often difficult and painful, who have lives that become open windows for people to make personal comments about because they feel that it's all right. People who run for office, people like Ken and others, are people who carry the burden of governing for our country. And we need to stop minimizing them and calling them negative names and begin to treat them with the kind of reverence that I believe that they deserve. I have known many politicians since Terry introduced me to this process. And it is true that some are not on the same track that I am on. But I have come to appreciate the dedication and the investment of energy and time. And so I want to take a moment for us to all thank them, because running the country, running the city, running a school board is an effort and time consuming. Tonight, I want to make some personal comments. I don't often stand in places like this without making political comments, but I am going to take a kind of personal prerogative because I am retiring from the Baymac Board after this evening. I have looked at all of you who come regularly and who participate as a part of my family also, as people who have helped me grow. Some many years ago, when I was being frivolous and racing sports cars, I remember somebody saying, you know, when I first knew Wigsy, I thought she was one of those, you know. But now that I know her, she's such a nice person. They were wrong there. But she couldn't possibly be, because nice people couldn't be. The combination didn't match. And I remember, and I keep this memory forever in my mind because I think it's important to me and to all of you, that I was proud of the fact that I had been able to fool my racing partners about my lifestyle. That closet was a deep and dark and locked up place for me. And I remember what it was like to live there. And then in 1968, the very thing that I feared the most would happen when somebody found out that I was a lesbian. They were a bit slow on the uptake because I had worked with them for 3 or 4 years. I was fired from my job. For me, at the time, it was an enormously painful experience because I had a program of young people that were working for me as volunteers who were working for me rather than going to juvenile hall, and that program was lost. So my sexual orientation at the moment did the very thing that I had always feared. It hurt me deeply, but it hurt my young folks as well, and my friends. At that moment, after they called me into this office, foolish them, and said, well, Wigsy, you know, it's all right with us if you just kind of want to quietly go away. I have never quietly gone away in my life. I told the board of directors that I was working with schizophrenic and autistic children and that they clearly had very twisted ideas to blame me for being the wrong kind of person to work with these kind of children. And I announced to the parents, the volunteers, and the fundraisers, and to the board that I was indeed a lesbian. And that was my coming out. I was also invited to come to San Jose State. And when I came to San Jose State, I vowed I would never, ever again live in the closet. I also vowed that because the closet door was so painful for me, I would smash the door down for my brothers and sisters because I knew it was painful for them. This has been a journey, and quite honestly, to be totally truthful with all of you, it has been a personal growth journey for me. I have grown. I have come to benefit because of my knowledge of you as individuals in my life. And I have come to recognize that there can never, ever, ever be a moment when we do not fight for justice for everyone. One of the things that I learned early on is that if I was going to have equality, everyone had to have equality. It was not only about me as a lesbian and my friends as gay and lesbian people, but it was about communities of color. It was about people with disabilities. It was absolutely essential for us, for me, to begin to address